The world of entertainment would be significantly better if studios abandoned making Western slop and they actually went back to their roots. And according to a new rumor, that might be exactly what Sony is doing. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, over the years, Sony has definitely gone very far from their roots, and they haven't really been making the content that people wanted. Ghost of Yotei, Intergalactic, the Heretic Prophet, all of these different titles are examples of failures when it comes to Western entertainment. And sure, they might commercially do okay, but that doesn't mean that critically they'll do fine. It doesn't mean that it's going to actually leave a lasting impact. And if we look at a lot of the games that studios like Naughty Dog have made over the years, we remember them, but not for positive reasons. And now a new rumor is circulating that they may shift to Japanese developers and more traditional stories. So it says a source close to Sony tells that Park Place that internal discussions in Japan suggest a major strategic reset could be coming for PlayStation's exclusive lineup. According to their source, both Ghost of Yotei from Sucker Punch and Intergalactic the Heretic Prophet from Naughty Dog are being viewed as last chances for Western developers to land major exclusives under the Sony company's current direction. Our source claimed another rumor I am also hearing is that Naughty Dog's Intergalactic the Heretic Prophet and Ghost of Yotei are the last chance for these Western developers. If they fail, after that, Sony is going full focus on Japanese developers and instead going back to traditional stories and characters. They're citing China winning the gaming market with Genshin Impact, Wukong, and Wuthering Waves as a reason to change, which could be a fascinating shift in direction because obviously Sony has definitely catered to Western audiences over the past couple of years. They have changed their company strategy ever since they decided to go to California, and I don't see an easy way they could win their Japanese audience back. I don't see a way that they could even win Westerners' trust back when it comes to the people who are rejecting this slop. Though I do definitely see that they are kind of running on fumes at this point. I'm certain Ghost of Yotei is going to sell a couple million copies, but will it reach the heights of Tsushima and sell over 10 million copies? No, I personally do not believe that. We are a week out from release and they still have not announced any sales figures. That definitely doesn't bode well. We know these large studios love to boast whenever they can and try to own the chuds, and this would definitely be an easy way to silence the haters, but they're not doing that. And when it comes to Naughty Dog, they are in a very bad position because they gained a lot of hype when the first season of The Last of Us came out. The second season was met with a lot of backlash because of the story direction of killing off Joel, and normal moviegoers and TV viewers were unhappy with that move, just like gamers were back in 2020. And Tati Gabrielle is a pretty controversial figure, and she has already damaged the image of this game because of her DEI-licious image that she posted on social media, saying 100% incel tears. That's not a good look. They need as much positive press as possible, and she definitely isn't bringing that to this project. And yeah, I mean, a company can only lose money so long before they have to say to themselves, it's time to change the company strategy. And I personally don't believe this to a certain extent simply because Sony has bought in to the Western audience mumbo jumbo that, oh, they need to make content that is safe, that is going to appeal to global audiences like a lot of companies are doing. But at the same time, this could be legitimate and that in 5 or 10 years, we might see a change. Now, that's the problem with this, is that it will take so long before we see them make a difference that studios might go through major layoffs and even closures before that happens, because it's not going to take a decade for Intergalactic to come out, but maybe Naughty Dog's project after that could be changed. But with development times being so long, it might be a decade before we see a major shift. It says, though, while that Park Place cannot independently verify these internal discussions, the claim lines up with growing speculation that Sony Japan is regaining control of PlayStation's long-term creative strategy, pushing back against Western studios whose productions have become more expensive and less universally appealing. In recent days, major gaming outlets have been touting Ghost of Yotei as an immediate success story, claiming the game sold 1.3 million copies in its first 24 hours, but that is based off of X accounts with less than 10K followers and no track record of scoops or having sources, nothing like that. As you can see, this one has 9,100 followers, and it says here in 1.3 million sold on the first day of Yotei, ever so slightly ahead of Tsushima's first 24 hours of 1.25 million, which is so funny because so many shills ran with this because they want to try to own the chuds, but really all they are doing is proving that they are not reliable, they are not professional, and when the media touts these numbers, you know that they do not give a fuck about accuracy. If they had went into this saying this is a rumor, this is speculation, take it with a hefty grain of salt, okay, then they could report on it and give their opinion on it, but at the same time, they didn't do that. Meanwhile, a That Part Place source paints a very different picture behind the scenes. According to the insider, Sony Japan has softened its advertising and reduced marketing investments for Ghost of Yotei after early sales fell short of expectations. The source described the decision as a cost control measure, stating that Sony's leadership doesn't want to lose money on a game showing declining returns. Public data appears to support the claim. Advertising for Yotei has noticeably slowed. PlayStation's social feeds have gone quiet, and Twitch viewership for the game has dropped sharply since launch. Even on launch day, I had shown this in another post, it was in 6th place. And it was behind games that were a decade old, 15 years old, and it's so hilarious that they did not gain a lot of hype. And the reason why it even was that high on release day was because of sponsored streams. It wasn't even because of genuine interest. Now, again, I've always speculated that this game would sell very similar to what I thought Assassin's Creed Shadows would sell, which is 3 to 4 million copies, though there is no number to really go off of at this point. Maybe it's doing phenomenal. I highly doubt it, though, because we know that these studios and these companies love to boast about really good numbers because it looks better when they need investments. It looks better to the higher ups at the company. And if they're not doing that, it really paints a pretty negative picture. And they could silence a lot of the backlash really easily by just providing a single statement or a single screenshot. Now, what killed the hype behind this game for me wasn't even necessarily a lot to do with the game itself. It's what happened beforehand. So you have them replacing Jin Sakai with Atsu, really bad move in my opinion, and if they wanted a lead female, they could have just went with Yuna. She was a phenomenal character. We had Erika Ishii, who is a self-proclaimed terrorist because she is Antifa. You have her being a very loud and outspoken LGBTQ activist, which of course, I'm not saying she can't voice her opinions, but I am saying that we can criticize those opinions and the way that she voices them and some of the opinions that she's posted on social media before. Then you have the developers making disgusting comments about the assassination of Charlie Kirk and them trying to, again, saying they're, punching Nazis in the face and being very vocal. And you have other people at the studio who said the same thing. But for me, a major problem was the Sucker Punch co-founder's statement about how it's kind of not our company culture to wish violence and threaten people. And it's sort of not okay. And it's really not that good, they think. So it's just a disaster for them. With Yotei, and Intergalactic is obviously years away. Neil Cuckman is a major problem. Tati Gabrielle is a major problem. And maybe when that comes out, it will be half decent, though. We are still years away from that happening. And it wouldn't shock me if Sony wanted to ditch Western studios, because what has come out from Western studios that has done absolutely phenomenal. Not a lot. So I'll definitely be keeping my eye on this. I'm curious to see if anyone else will back up this statement, if we'll get any more information from that park place in the future about this. But for now, that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this and found it important and informative, make sure to give it a like and subscribe to the channel. And if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I'll talk to you all again in the next video really soon.